This is part 3 of the online lecture to accompany chapter 14 in your textbook. I highly recommend you read chapter 14 because there are a lot of concepts, theories, ideas, and particularly examples that will help you understanding how to use visual aids. You can stop, pause, and replay this recording as often as you wish. Okay, let's finish up chapter 14. One of the first things that people ask me when they want to put a speech together and realize they have to use a visual aid is, can we use video? The short answer is yes, of course you can. The long answer is that it really does depend on what it is that you're going to do and how you're planning on incorporating it into your speech. The first thing you need to remember is that you need to keep any video that you use in your speech very short. Remember, your speeches are from 4 to 7 or from 5 to 8 minutes. That's not very long. Right now you might think it's a long time, but it's really not. So if half your speech is a video, you're really not doing the job of a speaker if you just hit play and let somebody else do it for you. So you need to keep those video clips short. You can find video all over the internet, particularly on YouTube. And if you're using a PowerPoint, you may be able to incorporate video into your PowerPoint, cut it, edit it, and drop it into your PowerPoint slides. However, most people don't really know how to do that. And there are a couple of little tricks to it that if you aren't aware of those things, you might think you've incorporated your video into PowerPoint, and then you go to play it in your speech and nothing happens. So if you're going to do that, you really do need to know exactly how to do it. Otherwise, another thing that you can do is simply cue up right before you start the speech. Of course, you don't want to look for a video clip in the middle of a speech, but before you start your speech, pull up the URL, the web address of this video clip, and cue to the start of the clip so that all you have to do when you're ready to show the clip is just hit play. But you need to make sure that you've figured that out, where you're going to start, where you're going to stop, and you are totally in control of that. And remember, no more than 1 minute of video. So you might have to search through some video to find that 1 minute that is going to best represent the idea you're trying to get across to us. Now, you can't just say, oh, here's my video, and not practice it. You need to practice it so that you can integrate it smoothly into the speech. Also, you need to add that time into your timing when you're practicing your speech. You can't just have a 7-minute speech and a 1-minute clip because the clock's ticking, so you need to remember that video, however long it is, has to be incorporated into the timing of your speech. Try to find the best resolution. If we can't really see what's going on, if it's grainy, that's not really going to help us understand the point you're trying to make. And as I said, all this needs to be set up before you begin your speech. So yes, you can use video, but yes, you need to make sure that you follow all these requirements, because I can tell you that the most common thing that happens when somebody uses video in a speech is that they go over the time limit. So be very, very careful about incorporating video into your speech. Now, depending on your topic, you might find that you are the best visual aid to use in your speech. For instance, if you're trying to show us how to use the Heimlich maneuver, or to do CPR, or maybe to do yoga poses, or dance, or basketball, something of that nature. So anytime you can use yourself to demonstrate what you're talking about, then you have a visual aid right there. If you're going to do that, you need to make sure that you carefully practice so that you are able to coordinate what you're saying and what you're doing. That might mean that because you really don't have access to your notes because you might need to put them down while you're actually showing us what to do, that you might need to practice it enough that at least for the part that you're demonstrating, you don't need to look at your notes. But yes, it's always really, really interesting if a person is using their own body to demonstrate what it is they're trying to show us. The most common thing that people think of when I say that they have to use a visual aid is PowerPoint. And PowerPoint is ubiquitous. It is used millions of times every day out there in colleges and in the business world. So it's always a good idea to know how to use PowerPoint. The problem is that most people abuse PowerPoint. They put too much stuff on it. They depend too much on PowerPoint. So the idea, as the text says, is that PowerPoint should be used strategically. Your PowerPoint slides are not your speech. They're only used to get ideas across as you need to. So you're using them only to enhance specific points you're trying to make in your speech. Do not do crazy things with your PowerPoint because that tends to overpower the presentation. And please, please, please do not read off of the screen. Does this mean you can't ever look at the screen? No, of course not. There are some times when you need to look at the screen, but don't stand there and read off of the screen. The audience can read, so you don't need to read it for them. So keep those things in mind. Whatever visual aid you use, you definitely need to keep a couple of artistic things in mind. You need to make sure that you're using fonts effectively and color. If you're going to use a black background, use very bright or white lettering to stand out. If the background is white, you want dark lettering to stand out. Use color in an effective manner. This is a really good example, this little slide illustration of the mystery of Easter Island, because it does exactly what you're supposed to do in a visual aid. It's got a title on it. It's got a very nice large image on it. It has some text, but very limited amount of text, because you don't want to put everything you're going to say on your slide. So try to use artistic eye, use color, text, fonts, and images effectively. Now, no matter what kind of visual aids you're using, a couple of ideas you need to keep in mind. Remember, you're showing these to the audience, so make sure that the audience can see them, because if they can't see them, then they're not serving their purpose. I said this before, don't pass things among the audience. There's very, very rarely is it appropriate to pass things among the audience. And if you want to know when those things are, you could certainly ask me. You are the one that should be in control of the information that you're presenting. So if you pass something among the audience, you have lost control of that thing, whatever it is. Another good idea is to keep your visual aids out of sight of the audience until you're ready to discuss them. And I will show you in class how to turn on and off the projector light so that you can set up a slideshow or a video or something, but it's not just sitting there on the projector while you're talking until you're ready to turn it on and show it to the audience. If you're just showing people something such as objects or models, then put them out of the line of sight of the audience until you're ready to discuss them, and then bring them up and make sure everybody can see them. Don't just throw things out there and expect the audience to understand what they mean. Visual aids are only as good as your explanation of them. It's a link between what you are saying and helping them to visualize what you are saying. So if you don't tell them what they mean, they're using a lot of brain power to try and figure it out. So let them know what it is. And as I said before, please don't talk to the visual aid. Don't read off a slide. Don't turn your back to the audience. You really need to keep yourself open to the audience and not turn away from them and talk to a visual aid that doesn't really care whether you're talking to it or not. Always practice with your visual aids. Make time in your practice schedule to incorporate those visual aids into the speech. And when you come in on the day of your speech, try to come in a little bit early so that you can set up, check the room, check the equipment, and just realize that you are the person that's in charge of that, so you need to set it up. I will have the computer on and logged in and ready to go, but you're the one that's got to, put your thumb drive in and pull that up and make sure it's ready to go. This is the end of the lecture for Chapter 14. I want you to close this window and then open Death by PowerPoint.